Well, I agree with that, Michael. I imagine there was some question of whether they were going to continue to go with Neuwirth because he had 2 shutouts in a row in the first 2 home games for the Flyers. But Mace had a tough week, and he is the number 1 guy, and you shouldn't lose your job for that. So they came back with him, and I agree with you. I thought he played he got better as time went on. So did the team. I mean, the team knew the team was going to struggle a little bit after 5 days off. They came out there a little rusty. They got scored on in the last minute, and then actually the first minute of the second period. But they got better and better. But I think the key to the whole game was 2 things. The number 1 line of the Dallas Stars, they got the 2 goals that were very important for the Dallas Stars. And on top of that, Andy Niemi. I mean, he was just absolutely unconscious. He had some spectacular saves, and he just continued to play like he did when he beat the Flyers in the Chicago Blackhawks Stanley Cup Series.
Yeah, it was the first time he had played in Philly in a long time, and he obviously he looked pretty good last night. The Flyers got to him late. Sean Couturier gets the goal. What are you seeing from Neuwirth? Did you think he should have kept playing last night after the 2 shutouts, or were you okay with them? I know you said you shouldn't lose your job, but should you at least let Neuwirth play until he looked like he was had lost the touch?
Hindsight is 20/20.
Sure.
I think if it had been less than the 5 days, yes. But I think because of the 5 days, and Mason had plenty of time to get prepared and be the number 1 goalie, that it made sense. But if it had been like last Thursday, going right back at it, I would have said, yeah, you got to go with Neuwirth. You got to keep playing the guy as long as you can when he's hot like that.
Yeah, and he's real hot, and he'll go tonight. What's been impressive about him? Now, for people, he's not like some guy who just came walking off the streets. He's been in the league. You've seen him play a little bit from time to time. What is it about him that has been impressive so far that, have make people who might not know him that well take notice?
Well, he doesn't get shaken in there. That's the one thing that's very noticeable about him. I noticed that when he was with Washington and with the Islanders. Nothing bothers him. He's very acrobatic. He responds very quickly to the play around him. And I think he's the perfect backup. I mean, I really like Ray Emery as a backup because he understood his position. And I think that's the same thing with Michael Neuwirth. He understands his position here. He understands that he is the number 2 goalie to Steve Mason. But when called upon, I mean, he's a good one. And I think that's so important. I saw a couple of articles yesterday where they're saying or asking the question, who's got the number 1 and 2 goalies in the National Hockey League? And Dallas Stars' name came up. The New York Rangers came up. But so did the Philadelphia Flyers with Mason and Neuwirth. So I find that that's a nice compliment. And when you take a look at it, Mason's a former Calder Trophy winner. As a Rookie of the Year, he had big numbers last year. And he got Neuwirth, who had, like you said, some great success in the league and could be a number 1 in a lot of places.
Yeah, and he looks pretty sharp here. And I know he had said after his second shutout there that, hey, I would like to be a starter, but you're right. He knows his role. But it's good to have that mentality to say, hey, when they call upon me, I want to play that level. So it was good to have him bounce in. You'll see him tonight against Boston. Very early, we know. But have you noticed in these regular season games some discernible differences between this Hackstall-led team and last year's team?
Well, the one thing that I've really noticed is the aggressiveness of the defense in the offensive zone. I think that once they get the system down and understand it where it becomes an instinct as compared to having to think, because this is not a thinking game, it's an instinct game where you react and you go. And I've been very encouraged about the way that the defense at the blue line in the offensive zone has the ability to be able to stay there and keep that puck in. For 2 reasons. Gives them a value as far as the offense is concerned of the hockey club. But the other thing, too, is a forward. You're working your tail off down there below the circles, below the goal line. You're just banging around, and all of a sudden you see that puck come maybe halfway back between the blue line and the goal line, and the defense is backing off. It doesn't work. First of all, it's depressing for the forward because now he's got to go all the way back down to the other end and then come back again, where if you've got an offensive thought process, you're going to pinch, you're going to try to keep it in, you're going to try to force them all the time. And I think that's one of the things I really noticed. I think defensively, I think they're still learning. You can still see that they get running around a little bit, and that's going to take time. That just doesn't come overnight. But you can feel that there's a different attitude with this hockey club right now.
Yeah, and it seems like Coach is still kind of, rotating guys and trying to get a feel. Schen's going to play tonight. He hadn't played the last three. Umberger back, Gagne out. So, he's still looking like he's trying to learn his personnel.
Well, he's learning on the fly. This is a work in progress because he's got to win hockey games, and at the same time he's got to evaluate what he has. And I think what we've seen so far is that if you play well, you'll stay. If you don't play well, you're going to sit. And that's really the only way you can get to a player right now. I mean, the accountability is the fact that this is what you did, and this is what we need you to do. And if you don't do it, then we're going to have somebody else come in and play that position. And that's the luxury of having an extra forward or an extra two forwards or an extra defenseman where you can have that hanging over a player. It's the only way you can get to a player now, either that or sitting him on the bench, like what happened to Wayne Simmons in the game in Florida when he got the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. And this coach said, guess what? I'm not going to stand for that. And usually any kind of when you're mouthing off or any misconduct is a penalty or a fine within the team anyway. So that's just one of the things that are happening under this coach.
Steve Coates, the Flyers, of course, Flyers Radio Network. You're 97.3 ESPN and our sister station 1450. You heard the guys last night as the Flyers lose 2-1 against the Stars. Boston, pretty good home team, and obviously it's going to be another tough task to go up there to Boston. They've had a tough schedule to start things off here, and playing in Boston's always tough.
It is. And it's interesting. You just hit it right on the head. They've always been really hard to play against here, especially back in the day in the old Boston Garden when the ice surface was actually a smaller ice surface. There was nowhere to hide. But ironically, this year, they've lost 3 in a row at home and won everything on the road. So it's a team that's struggling a little bit. It's a team that's looking to score some points outside of their power play. Their power play is what's carrying them right now. They know that they got good goalies. They got good centers. They got Cedero Chero back there on the blue line. So it's a team that's really in the transition on a new coach and a new general manager in Don Sweeney. But for them to lose 3 in a row to start the season, that is unheard of. So I think that makes the task a little tougher tonight for the Philadelphia Flyers, coming in off the back-to-back. Boston sitting waiting for them, and then trying to get their first home win.
Yeah, Boston 71, 22, and 13 last 3 years up there in Boston. But as Coatsey mentioned, they've dropped 3 games here to start the season. That's where Philly is tonight. You'll hear Coatsey and Tim Saunders on the Flyers Radio Network coming up tonight at 8 o'clock start for the rivalry night. That's a little extra hour later there for you, Coatsey.
Yeah, I usually go to sleep around that time, Michael. 8 o'clock.
Well, that's about
who came up with that idea?
That's usually about the second period.
We'll fly in tonight. I'll be in about 3:30.
All right, brother. I might see you Saturday against the Rangers up there. I'm trying to make my way on up.
All right. Make sure you see us.